Hello, Bill Molyneux here for Bill's Wargame World. And as you know or may know, my wife isn't feeling the best, so I can't wargame with my friends at the Chuckleheads and make videos there for the next few weeks. I just need to be home with the wife. So we are going to be playing the Prince Imperial, June 1st, 1879. Oh my gosh, it's Goober the Traveling Bear. You gotta laugh. Life is short. And Goober is very happy that he helped raise over $100 for the Maryland Veterans Museum, by the way, off our YouTube channel. So every time I get a check from YouTube, we're donating it to a historic site. All right, our game tonight is a skirmish game, 54 millimeter. And yes, Goober will be removed from the table momentarily. So we have the Prince Imperial, and then the Prince Imperial is Napoleon's. He's a relative of Napoleon, of course, and he's in exile with his mother and father, Queen Victoria, and his Spanish mother talk everyone into letting him come to Zululand, and of course he dies in Zululand. We are playing the scenario tonight, and we are going to be using the Donald Featherstone's 54 millimeter skirmish wargaming rules. And I'm a huge Donald Featherstone wargamer, and what I've done is I quickly took his one rule sheet, and it's 2 pages. I put it in a big font. And I also went with a D10 from his D6 system. All right, let's go over the order of battle. And our order of battle is we have the Prince Imperial, Lieutenant Carey, and then Corporal Grub Letalk. He's our French interpreter. Cochrane, Willis, Rogers, Abel, and, you know, my friends that watch my videos, I'm hoping you won't pick on me too much, but I didn't know if the Zulu guide is mounted or not mounted. And the Zulu guide that we're using, he is a figure that Claude Bailey sent to me. All right. Wow. I have to do a plug for Bill Molyneux Games. We support museums. If you know of a museum that would like Bill Molyneux Games, we give a huge discount to museums. And Horns of the Buffalo is my new Anglo Zulu war game, printed by Blue Panther, with 12 scenarios of the Zulu War. Also on PDF for those of you that live in England. All right. Let's start our game, and we are not doing background music due to my YouTube channel being monetized. If I have too much background music, it picks up a copyright, and I can't make money off the video. So no background music, and let's remove Goober the Traveling Bear. Okay, everyone. It's odd not to have my fellow chuckleheads, Walt Leach and Colonel Handsome, otherwise known as Kevin, and Joe, Derek, and Mike, Mr. Kennedy. But, until my wife is feeling better, this is the best we can do. And I hope people will watch this video to help support my donations to historic sites. All right. Basically, we are flipping a card to activate a figure. Or 10 Zulus. So in our rules, we have a black card, which is a Zulu unit. So randomly, I have 4 Zulu 10-man units, and we're just going to roll a Peter die, as I call them. 1, 2. The 3rd unit's going to move. I'm going to change our camera angle. All right, everyone. They get 2 actions, so they could move, unstab, move, and move again. And Zulus move quite quickly. They move 9 inches. I'm going to have them move twice. We're letting the camera run a little bit so they can come out to 18 inches. And they see the Prince Imperial coming out of a deserted kraal. And a kraal is a Zulu huts, village. And here we go. I hope you're going to enjoy this video. Dennis Bishop, he was a great friend of mine and Zulu War professor at Kansas University, I think it is. Helped me with Horns of the Buffalo, and he went to Zululand once or twice, I believe. So our Zulu unit has moved. I'm putting out a gray poker chip to show that unit has activated. So Dennis Bishop passed away a few years ago, right during COVID. And of course, he didn't get to see Horns of the Buffalo published. All right, our next move, we're going to flip a card. And we have a red card. So let's change our camera angle, everyone. Well, we have a red card, which activates our troop. And the plan is to get them off the far edge of the table there. And this is a bill scenario. We are using skirmish rules, though. So these aren't like we're going to be causing wounds. People don't just die right off the bat. All right, so I'm going to look at moving on horseback. They are going to advance out here, our Zulu guide, and change our camera angle. And I'm going to pause the camera, and I'm going to go ahead and move my troops out. Well, I've gone ahead and moved, and I'm going to put them with the Prince. So we moved our 9 inches, and I'm going to check my Donald Featherstone rules. So I have a second action, and firing Martini Henrys. I don't know what my I'm going to say my Zulu guide is armed with a Martini Henry with a -1. I'm going to have my, I'm sure they're all carrying Martini Henrys. I know there might be some people from the War College watching my video, but we're just winging it. This is just fun in Bill's basement. So we're going to fire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the range of that is no modifier, 5 dice, and we need, let's see here, and the Martini Henrys, the black die will need an 8, let's see, a 1 through 7 to hit. The black one needs a 1 through 6. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 5 hits, and we're going to randomize them. 2 hit the same Zulu, so let's see what happened to that Zulu. So, and he's hit with a light wound, which we're just going to put 1 out there, and a 2, which is a flesh wound. So, really interesting. This Zulu got hit with a light wound, so he moves a couple inches less, and he gets a -1 to hit. No big deal. That Zulu, they're strong, fierce, powerful warriors, and I'm sure he can just not worry about that. The other 4 are hits, and they're all different Zulus. We checked that earlier. A 9 is a kill, and a light wound, and a serious wound. So we have 1 that's killed. We'll take him, lay him down, and then light wound, heavy wound. There. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our 5 Zulus have been shot at. They get a -2 in movement. This one here with a heavy wound, he is actually he only moves 2 inches, and it's a -2 to hit. So he's got a serious wound there. All right, we're gonna flip a card, and it's a black card, so another Zulu unit. I'm going to roll randomly, and it's the far one on the far hill. All right, so what we're going to do is pause the camera, and I'm going to move them. We'll come back. Okay, our other Zulu unit has moved. Now you'll notice some of my figures have a glossy look. And the reason I put a glossy look on a lot of my figures is I'm wargaming in 54mm, sort of like H.G. Wells would have done in England in the turn of the century. And then I'm using Donald Featherstone rules in a lot of my games. So they're both simple, fast, and old school. So I don't have things that look so much like a diorama. I'm trying to get that look of wargaming in the 60s or the Victorian age. So those Zulus use both actions to move. And we have another Zulu card came up, and that unit is up. So on the ridge, they're going to activate, and we're going to see if they can't get close to melee range. I'm going to stop the camera. Okay, everyone, we have an issue. That lead Zulu here made it to our Zulu guide, and we're going to have our first hand-to-hand combat. So he got pretty close, so we're going to go ahead and have the Zulu stabs with a 10, which is a miss. And then our Zulu guide, I'm going to say he's armed with an assegai, and he's mounted, so he'll hit on a 1 through 8. So our Zulu guide actually stabbed our Zulu warrior, and let's see what happened to him. Oh, it's only a flesh wound, nothing. So they're duking it out, and we're pulling a card, and our next card is red. So he's engaged with a Zulu, and all he has to do is, if he wants to break away, which of course he does, I could dismount, which would be probably not very smart. We want to get off the table. So all of you at home watching this, I could fall back into the kraal and try to take up a defensive position, but we're just going to try to get out of here. However, I need to pause the camera and check a rule. Okay, everyone, I had to get the Donald Featherstone rule book out. That British unit has been activated. We have 1 unit left. We flip 1 card, no matter what color it is. We activate the last of the Zulu units. So, and I didn't put out an activation chip for that one. So, I'm going to pause the camera. They're going to come down over the hill and maybe get ready to hit the unit on the flank. All right, our Zulus came off the hill and they're going in this way, and it's going to be interesting because we now take up the poker chips and everyone gets reactivated. We don't test for morale until later. We haven't sustained 50% casualties on any impy So I'm going to pause the camera and we're going to start the next turn. Okay, here we go. And it is red. So first of all, our Zulu guide is going to try to break away. And he easily does that. I did a test. So he can move 18 inches and not fire. He could move 9 and do melee. But we're going to just try to get off the table. And he gets a +2 to break away from a melee mounted. So he goes zipping this way. Now, historically, it was sort of like Lieutenant Carey, and I'm not doing the politics of this whole issue with the Prince Imperial sort of taking command and Lieutenant Carey taking the blame, and it's you need to read many of Ian Knight's books, and there are so many Zulu War books out there, but of course Ian Knight is, you know, the king of Zulu knowledge. So, and I'm not trying to be a Zulu authority here. I'm just running a miniature war game in the basement, hoping that someone will watch. So we're going to go ahead and pause the camera. I'm going to move everyone else up. Okay, we have a melee here. Trooper Cochrane is attacking that Zulu warrior, and he hit the Zulu warrior, and the Zulu warrior is lightly wounded. And because he's lightly wounded, he falls back a couple inches. And so Cochrane used his sword. Now, if you move over 18 inches with the cavalry, they're not firing pistols or Martini Henrys or throwing their sabers. You got to go 15 inches or less, according to Donald. They get up past that. So we're just trying to go pell-mell with, and I put the Prince Imperial is here. He's flanked by Lieutenant Carey and Corporal Grubb. That must have been an interesting life growing up as Corporal Grubb. And I don't know if grub was a word used during the Victorian age for food or not. But we're going to flip a card. And of course, it is Zulu. And we'll randomize which one. We'll get a good die roll out there. It's a 5. So it's this unit way out here. So I'm going to go ahead and move that. And let's see if we get up to... Trooper Cochrane might be in trouble. All right, that impy did not quite make it to melee. But Trooper Cochrane, who fell back a little bit to do a little rear guard action there, he may have an issue next phase. I'd like to say something about the shields. A wonderful Facebook site, Ian Knight's Zulu War Facebook site. Everyone there has been fantastic and very nice to me. I had asked some questions about the Zulu shields and the colors. Due to the fact that I'm taking care of my wife, who's not feeling the best, I didn't take the time to sort through tubs of Zulu shield colors. So you're going to have to just give me a little bit of a leeway on that tonight. So that's where we're at on Zulu shields. And we have another Zulu card, which I got a poker chip them. We're going to activate. It's odd or even. So our wounded unit that took some casualties is going in. And they'll easily move up. And I'm going to pause the camera and send them forward. Thru! Come on, laugh. All right, we have a lot of melees going on here. Let me get out my rules sheet. Our Zulu guide here is being attacked, and he's mounted, of course, and he swings and hits, and our Zulu hits. So right here we have a good battle going on, and our Zulu is lightly wounded, and he will fall back, and our Zulu guide is also lightly wounded, and we have to roll and see if he gets dismounted from that. And he does. Okay, we have I don't know. I'm going to let the camera go. I hope you're not going to get bored. So this Zulu falls back 2 inches, and Zulu guide so our Zulu guide is here, and he is laying down, and we got to see what happened to the horse, and the horse is gone. It has run off. Now our Zulu guide will stand up momentarily. He's lightly wounded. This is a skirmish game, and I will check the Donald Featherstone book on if he has to roll anything or if he just pops up. So I'm going to resolve another melee. We have Corporal Grub, and he does really well. Our Zulu hits. Our Zulu does, oh no, medium wound. That we're rolling on the, and that knocks Corporal Grub, gets knocked out or knocked down. So I made Corporal Grub a bugler, and Claude Bailey from Arizona sent me that figure. So Corporal Grub, oh, I forgot to put his marking on. I'm going to pause the camera. All right, Corporal Grub is seriously wounded. He only can move a couple inches a turn now when he stands up. And but we're going to work on our melee here. Oh, and Corporal Grub needed he did hit that Zulu, and this Zulu actually dies. I'm going to remove the dead Zulus for now. So let's see what happens with lead talk. And I apologize for my he's a -1. He's wounded. He doesn't do anything. And the other Zulu hits, and a 7 is a light wound. Let's see if he gets, and he's fine. He does not get this, he doesn't fall off his horse. And swinging back, he does get a defensive swing, and that is, and he kills this Zulu with a 9. So, and this Zulu here is, he misses. So really this is where we're at. So he is not engaged at the moment. I feel bad for Corporal Grub. And then we have an attack here and here. I'm going to move our camera angle. All right, we have this melee here, and our Zulu hits. Oh, it's a 10. Willis is dead. A 10 is a bloody death, and Willis does get to swing back, and Willis did not hit. He rolled a 10 back, which is a miss. So we have lost Private Willis, everyone. Sad day. So we lost Private Willis, and if you're wondering why we have a couple boars, it's because I don't really have a lot of mounted Zulu War figures. I pretty much do Rourke's Drift or San Luana in 54 of the infantry battles. So our Zulu's attacking here. He misses, and he swings back with a hit with his sword. And let's see here. So he swings. I have a pistol, but we're using the sword at the moment, and I got to roll for damage. And medium wound on this Zulu. He backs off, and he takes 2 poker chips. So it is playing a skirmish game is really a whole different world because figures aren't just dying right off the bat. If you play a lot of miniature wargaming, this is getting close to role-play wargaming such as Dungeons and Dragons or Hero Quest. Not quite to that level, but the Donald Featherstone book is really neat because it also has rules for World War One. But we're going to flip another card. We have 1 Zulu unit to go, but we always flip 1 card. It says, we got 2. I got 2. Sorry about that, everyone. And 1, 2, 3, 4. It's this Zulu unit here. And we have muskets to fire, too. All right. I'm going to send in the melee. The assegais, they also can throw their short spears. We're going to pause the camera, and I will prepare the attack. A thru. All right, Private Cochrane here is being attacked by 3 Zulus. The most you can be attacked by is 3. So let's roll some dice. We have 2 hits on Cochrane, and Cochrane takes 2 light wounds, which becomes a medium wound. Very good chance he's going to get knocked off his horse, but he doesn't. So he's got 2 assegais sticking in him, but he is fine. And we're going to have him swing, and he hits a Zulu, and it is a medium wound, and that kills this Zulu here. All right. So Cochrane, he will roll to see if he breaks out of that melee when his card comes up again. We have 4 dead Zulus, by the way, right now. We have several wounded British, and we have 1 dead British. Willis has passed away. All right. Let's finish off the rest of these. I got to find the powder smoke. Hold on, everybody. Okay. My hands and arms are going to be in the camera a little bit. We have a musket firing here, and we're going to cotton ball them because these Zulus take a turn to reload. And let's see, they're terrible shots. And believe it or not, that one hit. And oh, this figure is moving. So it is not a hit. He gets a -1. So this musket went off. Nothing happened. I got 3 there. Firing at Lieutenant Carey. And 1 hit Lieutenant Carey. So Lieutenant Carey has been hit. And we got a cotton ball there and there. So, and there. And let's see what happened to Lieutenant Carey. Lieutenant Carey is a 1, which is a flesh wound, no effect. So, Lieutenant Carey just shakes that off with no big deal. All right, so we have some Zulu muskets firing, and I still have another musket to go. Right over here. And they need a 1, 2, or 3 on a D10, and he rolled a 5. So, okay. Wow. The patrol is in trouble, but you know, they got a little bit of space. We'll be doing some morale checks on some Zulus here. The last Zulu unit is now activated, and that's way off to the side, the far left flank. So as I look at moving them, I have board games for the French Indian War, Revolutionary War, and the Zulu War, and we're working on one for the Civil War, Weiss Forks. So if you're interested in 1865, that game's coming out later on in January, February, probably late February. Kim Metis, a famous war game designer and war gamer, is helping me with that. All right, our last Zulu impy has moved. I hope you're enjoying this this video. I'm going to pause the camera and pick up poker chips and prepare for our next card flip. Okay, everyone. By the way, I've been playing for nearly an hour, and in a little bit I have to go up and check on my wife again. Every hour I'm checking on her. But we're flipping a card, and look at that. The British get to go first. And Lieutenant Carey is not engaged with anyone, but Private Cochrane is. So he's got to break free to make a run for it. But the rest of my British are in good shape. I have two that are on foot. Oh gosh. They stand up, and I got to pause the camera and find out what happens to them. Welcome back, everyone. So, according to Donald Featherstone, they stand up, and that's an action. So, they get two actions, which is 9 inches of movement, 6 inches for British, that is. He loses nothing from a light wound, so he's making a run for it, I guess. To there. The Zulu guide is making a run for it. It's every man for himself, and I moved the tree. So he's trying to make a run for it. But Corporal Grubb has one action, and he only can go he only go 2 inches. He's seriously wounded. I'm wondering if the Prince Imperial could zip by and pick up Corporal Grubb. That would be an action to pick him up, and he'd only be able to go about 12 inches then and not fight. But you know what? The Prince Imperial is zipping by, and I'm going to do a die roll. We're going to say a 1 through 6. He gets them with no issue. We have an issue. I rolled a 10. So the Prince Imperial went galloping by Corporal Grubb, trying to pick him up, and failed to do so. He slipped or whatever. So the Prince Imperial is all the way out to here. Lieutenant Carey is being hit with muskets. He's fine. He is going to go his full 18. And he is side by side with the Prince Imperial. Alright. I could try again with Leapt, the French speaking interpreter. And let's try to save Corporal Grubb. I mean, with a name like that, 1 through 6, and I have to re-roll that. I had a leaner die, everybody. We rolled a 1. So Leapt, even though he's wounded, will swing by, pick him up, and he ends up by the Zulu guide. So we have Corporal Grubb riding along with Leapt. Corporal Grubb, by the way, he's wounded, seriously wounded. All right, we're going to move our Abel and Rogers, our tail troopers. Gosh, they can go up to 24 without firing or swinging. It's every man for themselves. I'm going to pause the camera. Okay, Rogers went up to here. He's drawn his Webley, and he's blazing away. And I rolled 2 9s. Oh, my goodness. So he failed to shoot the Zulu here. And then Private Abel went to full 24, so he can't fire or swing a sword, but he's gone up a ravine. He said to heck with this unit, so he didn't want to get caught in the bull's head formation, because if you see, we do have a bit of that. And even though it's a skirmish game, I hope someone will leave a message if this was an interesting video or not. So we have Private Cochrane with two wounds. He's a -2 to hit anything. And I'm going to say he's a -2 to break away from those two Zulus. So the Zulus are a 4 and a 1. So he has to roll a 5. And he did. So there's our 5, everyone. And that is what he needed, that or higher. So he is free to go. And he's mounted. So we're going to let him gallop the full 24 inches. And he breaks loose. And gosh, there's Zulus everywhere. So we're going to push them off to the side. We got a path. And he ends up galloping through. And he ends up there. So, I got to move the camera angle, everyone. All right, so Cochrane, who is wounded, seriously wounded. If I remember right, I could have wrote down notes. I think he got stabbed twice. One more wound and he's dead. But that's where we're at. And I'll put out a poker chip to remind myself that the British have moved. So we have to flip a card. It's red and black. Okay. Now, if I get through this whole deck and the British are not off the table, we're going to say a relief column came looking. There was a Molyneux in the Zulu War. And also William Francisci, last name I mispronounced, I believe. His famous author and historian in Gettysburg. His great uncle fought at the Battle of Gimbenhau, I believe it's pronounced, but maybe not. Let's find a Zulu unit. The fourth one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So it's that Zulu unit there. And they're going to, well, boy, I'm going to pause the camera. I don't know if I want to go after Private Abel, who's trying to sneak away through the ravine, or if they'll go after the regular British unit. Hold on, everybody. Well, what I did is I rolled a die. Odd or even. Odd, they went after Abel. Even, they went after the rest of the British troopers. And they went after Private Abel. So he's got 10 Zulus chasing him. Not his day. All right, they moved their full movement, so they can't throw spears or fire their muskets. All right, we have our next Zulu unit. Sorry about the dead airspace. And we're going to randomly roll with the Peter dice. Peter gave me these dice. It's unit 1. All right, these Zulus are going right in. Let's see if I have any muskets. Well, they're hitting 3 are coming in on the Prince Imperial. This figure actually belongs to the other unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. We're going to set him out there. He belongs to the unit that has to test the morale because they've suffered wounds and deaths that are more than 50%. So let's finish the rest of this. I'm going to pause the camera. Okay, everyone. We have a lot of going on. We have a couple of Zulus firing muskets. They're going to go for Cochrane. Boy, it's not Cochrane's day. Private Cochrane here has 2 muskets being shot at him. They need 1s, 2s, and 3s, and both are misses. So the muskets have been fired. Cochrane dodges that. He has 3 Zulus trying to stab him. Now he is moving. And that's a missed stab. And he's been hit. And unfortunately, if it's higher than a 2, he's dead. And he is dead. So Private Cochrane gets stabbed by these Zulus, and that's his final wound. So not too good. Now I went with the idea of making a run for it and not dismounting and firing with my Martini Henrys. I can fire from the saddle, and it's a -2 to hit, and also if I'm moving in this extra -1. Martini Henrys hit on a 1 through 7, so I'd be hitting on like 1 through 4s. The idea is to get off the table. So we have 3 attacks on the Prince Imperial. All right, they're moving. He's moving. Zulus, 1 through 5s. Look at that. I'm going to show you the dice. The Prince Imperial, 6, 9, and 0. They needed a 1 through 5. None of them made no hits. Well, let's see if Private Rogers, who's being attacked by 3. Oh, the Prince Imperial. I'm going to have him try his Webley. He doesn't hit so well with a Webley. But he does hit one Zulu, and he shoots him in the head. Okay, so our proud Zulu warriors that are, one of these has passed away. And, of course, everyone knows that the Zulu War is a war that really never needed to happen. But just like many wars, they shouldn't happen at all. So Rogers is being stabbed, and we got 2 hits on Rogers, and one is a light wound. Oh no, I got a 9, not a 6. So Rogers is dead. So we lost Rogers now, and Cochrane. And we lost Willis. So of our scouting party that were making maps and such, we've lost 3 of our troopers. All right, Willis is dead. We can flip a card. And it's another Zulu unit. All right, we have a Zulu unit that has to check morale, and I have to flip the page of my Donald Featherstone rules. This is the first time. And their morale is done. Okay, so these Zulus who've suffered casualties are serious wounded. They're heading back to this kraal. They said for 6 little guys, they're putting up a pretty good fight. So this little impy put up a good battle, but they've taken too many wounds. Several of them are seriously wounded, so they're out of the game. And we're going to flip a card. And it is British, which doesn't matter. They've already activated. And we have another Zulu card. And it's the Zulu unit there. So, let's see what happens. Now, should I reload my muskets or move fast and engage in hand-to-hand combat? Well, we're going to yep. I'm going to pause the camera, everyone. We are not going to bother reloading. We are going to try to get to Corporal Grubb and Ladakh, Lequick, and they are right there, and see if our Zulu Impy can take them out. Alright, they did not get to Ladakh because of movement, but 2 Zulus have managed to make it to Corporal Grubb, who's riding on the back of the horse. So, -2 to hit, mounted moving. Corporal Grubb has been hit with one of the Zulus. Rolling again, and we rolled a 1. So, nothing happens to Corporal Grubb. 2 Zulus try to stab him. They have unloaded muskets. And Corporal Grubb, he fires. He's armed with a Martini Henry. And I'm going to say with everything happened, I don't know if he'd still have his sword. I mean, let's say a 1 or a 2 he still does. And he does. I rolled a 2. So we're going to let him swing with a sword, which is better. And he hits a Zulu. And the Zulu is seriously wounded. So, with all things going on, Corporal Grubb drives that Zulu back. So there's only 1 Zulu now after Corporal Grubb. And we got to flip a card. No, actually, we are starting a new turn. So we pull up poker chip, and poker chip. Okay, and our first card is a Zulu card. So unfortunately, well, these are 2 are going into there. Prince Imperial. Oh, and so we have 3 attacks on the Prince Imperial. And 10, a 1, and a 7. So we have 1 hit on the Prince Imperial. Let's see what happens to him. A 5. That is a light wound. Now on a light wound hit, on a 1 or a 2, he will get dismounted. And I rolled a 1. All right, there's our 1. Sorry about that, everyone. I don't know. So the Prince Imperial has, unfortunately, I got to switch him out with his dismounted figure. Hold on, everyone. Okay, the Prince Imperial, I'm going to say he always will be carrying his great uncle's sword, and he swings and hits, and I give him a +1 with that, by the way. And with an 8 becomes a 9 or a 10, he kills a Zulu. So the Prince Imperial gets knocked off the horse, and I rolled to see if he actually lands on his feet. So I 1 through 4 and let's see, we have our Zulu guide is being attacked. Let's see how that goes. A 9 and a 7, he's moving but not on a, so that 7 is a hit, and our Zulu guide suffers a wound. Alright, gotta pause the camera. Alright, Zulu guide, and he is wounded. He's only moving 2 inches now, but he rolled a 2 for a hit with a 10. So one of those Zulus got killed. So there we go. Alright. I'm going to flip a card, everyone. Let's see what it happens. And it's another Zulu unit. Gosh, we need the British. Alright, unfortunately it's Private Abel. I'm going to change the camera angle. Alright, Private Abel is really having a bad day. He is trying to make it out on his own, and he's got 3 Zulus, and he's been hit twice with a 1 and a 5. Damage was, he is medium wounded. He took a light wound and a light wound. Now we're going to see if he gets knocked off his horse, but he stays on with a 1. So, swings back with a hit and a roll to 10. So I've been rolling quite a few 10s in tonight's game. So another Zulu is killed in action. But boy, they're putting up a stiff fight. And 1, 2, 3, the last Zulu unit moves in. And that's trying to keep them separated. And that's it. And we're going to see what happens here. And that's the, we'll pause the camera, because that is actually the end. We have to pick up poker chips. There's a poker chip on that unit. All right, everyone. I guess I'm going to flip a card. Hopefully it's British. We don't know. And it's not. It's a Zulu card. So we're going to start way over with, let's get Private Abel done. He's going to swing, and he hits a Zulu, but he only does a light wound with his sword. And then the Zulus get to attack. Any hit on Private Abel now will kill him. A 10, which is a miss. Oh, they got he's been hit with one of the 3 Zulus. A 1 or 2 is a flesh wound. And oh my gosh. Whoa. Apologize for that, everyone. All right, I apologize for knocking over the camera. Private Abel did not get killed. It's a minor flesh wound. Amazing. I don't know how he's surrounded by Zulus and he survived that. It's just bizarre. And we have the other Zulu unit. We have 3. That was that one. Private Abel. We have the Prince Imperial's being attacked. We're not getting lucky cards. These 2 Zulus are reloading, and they're going to move down the path. They can go 9 and reload. So I have these 2 Zulus have reloaded. These 2 Zulus are fighting the Prince, and we're going to have a morale check with them, I think, at the end of the next card. Yeah, they're 1 figure over now for a morale check. No, 1, 2, 3. I'm good. Sorry. Prince Imperial. He rolls. And I'm doing the sword with the Prince. He hits better with a sword than his pistol. I mean, my 2 points better. So we're doing the sword, and he rolls a 9, which is a death blow. And that puts that unit now way over. So that unit's going to have to, now, of course, we get 2 attacks. And the Prince Imperial's been hit. And we rolled a 4, which is a light wound. So he's got two wounds now. And all right, let's see what happens here with Ladakh. And I also have this fella here. He's the Zulu guide. All right, the Zulu guide will swing out. He's shooting his Martini Henry at this point. With a 6, it's a hit. And an 8 is a serious wound. That Zulu's already wounded. So that Zulu is dead. And that Zulu misses with a 10. So our Zulu guide is actually free to go. And then we have 2 attacks on Lieutenant Carey. Or who is this back here? That's the French interpreter. And he has been hit once. And a 3 is a light wound. He already has 1, 2. So he's... Alright. See if he gets knocked off his horse. He does not. We rolled a 2. And Corporal Grubb is being attacked. And Corporal Grubb... Oh no, Corporal Grubb's been hit, everyone. He's had a heck of a game, though. 1 or 2 saves him, and oh my gosh, everyone, he rolled a 1. So Corporal Grubb makes it, and flipping a card, thank God, it's finally red. Alright, I got to, boy, I'm going to have Lieutenant Carey try to pick up the Prince Imperial, and he's got to roll, and he does. He rolled even. He grabs the Prince, And everyone, the prince is booking along. And Lieutenant Carey has the prince with the 2 wound markers. Let me get you a better camera angle, everyone. So they're heading out down the path. And let's see. Private Abel has 2 Zulus he has to break away from. And unfortunately, one he does, the other one he doesn't. He swings, and he only does a flesh wound to the Zulu. Private Abel is still engaged. Now, our Zulu guide, I'm going to pause the camera and move them. All right, our Zulu guide made it to here, and he's making a run for it. All right, this is the big one. We have Corporal Grubb riding on the back of the horse with a French interpreter. They both are seriously wounded. Our Zulu that's got them in place rolled a 3. So we need to roll higher than a 3. And we got a 4. So they have broken away from that one and the other one. So Corporal Grubb on the back, now they can go 24. I don't know, I'm not going to bother checking the Featherstone book. Probably Donald doesn't have anything at that level, but I could check. But we're just going to have them move 22 inches instead of 24. So off they go. And they're about here. And I got to pause the camera. They have a ton of wounds. Okay, Corporal Grubb and the French interpreter, Ledoc, and the Prince Imperial is right on the back with Lieutenant Carey. Prince Imperial is seriously wounded. And then we have our Zulu guide on foot, trying to make a run for it. And of course, we still have Private Abel, who tried to make a run for it on his own, totally engulfed in Zulus. And we're going to flip a card. All right, we got to do Private Abel. And, oh my gosh, they got 3 hits. All right, Private Abel is just chopped to pieces. He put up a gallant fight, but he just got swamped there in this little ravine. And Private Abel just couldn't make a die roll to escape. So so far we've lost Private Abel, Rogers, Cochran, and Willis. So we've lost Willis, Cochran, Rogers, and Abel. All right, our Zulu guide is still trying to make a run for it. We have a morale check for that one impy, and they failed. All right, so I'm going to pause the camera. Okay, we have that Zulu impy is heading out of town. They're heading to the kraal. They're below half strength. The other impy is fought. So, we're going to do a widespread camera view here. And we have the Prince Imperial on the back of Lieutenant Carey. I don't see any Zulus being able to get to them at the moment. Well, let's flip a card. And it's red. We got a red 4, everyone. Red 4. Okay. So, the Prince Imperial can go 24 inches. And he goes galloping off with Lieutenant Carey. Okay. And they're going. And then last but not least, we have one lone figure here, our Zulu guide. He's lightly wounded. He can move 9. I'll put him out about there. So, here's our Zulu guide. Wow. We're going to say the Zulus have had enough. All right, let's review the battle. Okay, everyone, our Zulus, we'll do our Zulu dead, the brave Zulu warriors. They lost a total of 9 dead Zulus and about 5 seriously wounded and a few light wounded. Our British losses was for dead, we lost Private Willis, Private Cochrane, Private Rogers, and Private Abel. They're all dead. Our survivors are Lieutenant Carey is not wounded at all. I'm going to move the camera over there. Okay, Lieutenant Carey, unwounded. The Prince Imperial has 2 wounds. The Doc's got 2 wounds. And Corporal Grubb, who, in all honesty, Corporal Grubb started off the game trying to do a little bit of rear guard action, holding off the troops, and he did fantastic. Got picked up by the French interpreter, and our Zulu guide escapes with just a light assegai wound of some type. So, phasing out of the game. I hope you enjoyed this. Please consider subscribing and watching my channel. Again, everything I make off my YouTube channel, I donate to historic sites. And this site, it is, for this month, it is the Maryland Veterans Museum. I'm going to say this was a fun little game, and I miss wargaming with my buddies, but till my wife is feeling better, I have to stay home to help take care of her. If you know of a site that would like my new Horns of the Buffalo game, or let me know, and please consider purchasing it on Blue Panther website. They're based in Tennessee, United States of America, but they do have a way to sell them in Europe through Second Chance Games. So that's about it. Stay safe, be kind, be courteous, and thank you for watching.